Alright, guys. You know, sometimes when you're out there, you really don't see. Well, let's put it this way. You don't believe what's going on out there until you're actually out there and you see it happening. Now, I live in a decent little community, as a rule. However, with that being said, is that there are more assholes in this community that think their shit doesn't stink.
AB1UUX, mobile listening.
And I will get to that in just a second. Now that is part of the reasoning for this. Now I will probably be issued one after a while, but you know, they never really talked about it. But I think once they see somebody like me with one, like me, that they will probably think about issuing. Now the ones that the police wear are like $800 or so. It's a body cam, by the way. Now, here's why. I was at a scene, oh God, 3 months ago? Yeah, about 3 months ago, where they had an accident. Let's do this. You know how I am with paper. They had an accident. First of all, we had a road that follows down, and then there's another road that comes across, and then this goes down to the water. This goes down towards 95, the highway. And then meanwhile, there's a lot of little roads off this road, and here and there, there are dead ends. And then there's this one that goes around down to here, which could bring you back. So meanwhile, this road here has got a little bend in it. Car was going down. Don't know what happened exactly because it's really none of my business. But anyway, what had happened was, and I know, that a car, for whatever reason, hit a pole, knocked the driver unconscious. He was laying across the seat. Couldn't see him. Pole came down, wires came down, tree came down, everything's across the street, across the road. There's no way to get down there. So there was one of us here, and I was up here. Now this is where everybody wants to travel down to get to here. Now this is a certain part of Brantford. I'm not going to mention the name, but they think their shit doesn't stink. Let's put it that way. I wasn't told what number the accident was at. Meaning what number, like what address was the house nearby, or even though it wasn't involved. Because if there was like an accident there and you were able to get down to number 400, well then I can let you down if you're going to 400 because you're not going to be going anywhere near. And the same here. You know, if you were going up to say 100, I can let you up to 100. But if you said 110, I couldn't let you in. You know, if you said 399, I couldn't let you in. All right. And I'd have to more or less take your word that that's where you're going, because the job is to keep people clear and let the fire department, the rescue squads, utility companies do their job without getting run over. Guy comes down this way, probably in his mid-60s, early 70s, in his little 4Runner. And he had a woman with him, probably in her 50s or so, younger than he. And I said, I can't let you down. Do you have an address? He goes, no. Now, if there was two of us there, then I would say, all right, follow me, but stop where I stop. In other words, I'll let you follow me down to a point. And once it gets to that point to where you're going to interfere, and make it dangerous for yourself as well as the workers, I'm going to stop you. And I don't care if you see the house or not. You're not going any further. Well, I can't do that because there's only me, and I can't leave this post. So I told him. He says, I don't know the address. I said, well, I can't tell you anyway because I didn't have a number to start with. I says, the only thing I can tell you is travel around the other side and see if how far up it is to see if maybe you can see or not see, or maybe there's two people down there. Now, I know there's only one of us, but I don't know if there's any LEOs down there or not. I haven't got any up here. The one I had up here went to get me coffee. So anyway, he really didn't want to. These people don't like to be inconvenienced. All right, anyway, he leaves, he goes down here. This guy tells him the same thing. So now he gets pissed. Now he comes back up this way. And now he's kind of here. I've got him blocked off here. Cones, the town brought up barricades, and me. There's three things there. Right? One of them walks and talks. Me. Orders were nobody goes down there. So he pulls up. I'm looking in the passenger window. I'm probably 7-8 feet away from him. The window comes down, and he's pointing at me across the passenger, and he says, the guy down there told me to come up this way and you can get me in. Well, we hear this all the time. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. I can't let you down there. Now you listen to me. And he starts in. He goes ballistic. I told him, time out. Stop right there. And now I walked up to the door. I says, you don't raise your voice to me. You don't point at me. You talk to me like a human being, and we may get something settled here. However, if you want to go down this road, it's not happening. I don't care who you are or what you are. We'll see about this. Now, I'm on the radio calling for backup. At the same time, he's on the phone calling the police department. Patrol guy comes out. He gets out of the car. He goes up to the guy, the law enforcement officer, and he says, he's a maniac. I pulled up talking nice to him, and he started yelling at me. Yeah. Right. The cop looks at me, and I go, yeah. And I'm shaking my head. No. You know. So anyway, the cop is going to try, naturally, to calm down the situation. Meaning this asshole. Cop says to him, what's the address? All right, and why do you have to go down there? Well, I know why, because in the middle of him screaming at me, he's telling me that the woman that he has with him is a housekeeper, and she has to go down there to clean the person's house. And she's relieving another person that's down there. Now, wait a minute, is it a housekeeper? Or is it a carekeeper? You know, we got a little bit of a difference here. And if there's already somebody down there, all right, there's really no emergency here because there's somebody there already. So somebody's going to have to do a little overtime, if anything. But anyway, the cop says, well, I don't know the address. So he goes, well, does she know the address? She goes, no, she doesn't know the address. No, he's not letting her talk either. No, she doesn't know the address. So the cop says, well, let me ride down there, and I'll come back. So he goes down there, you know, with his lights on. He's just trying to make this guy happy. Now, meanwhile, I'm standing behind the barricade. This guy pulls right up to the barricade, and with his nose into it, and he's racing his motor. You know, like he's going to run me over or run through the barricade. The fuck is wrong with these people? You know, excuse my language, but, you know, this is what's going on. These people are weird people down here, I'm telling you. So anyway, the cop comes back up. He says, can you tell me the color of the house? Can you tell me something about the house to identify it? Don't know. If you've been here before, all the time. And you can't tell me anything about the house. He says, so the cop tells him now, all right, listen, you follow me. And when I stop, you better stop. Because if it's beyond that point, I can't let you go any further. He says, never mind. I ain't got time to put up with this. All right? He says, yeah. And besides, the woman that has to get relieved, she doesn't want to have to go through this. Well, first of all, she's coming out. She's not going to have a problem coming out. It's getting in. Yeah. Cop at that point looks at me. He does the same thing I did. Shrugged shoulders. Like, what do I do with this guy? So anyway, where I'm going is, when the cop pulled up, you know, the guy gets out and calls me the maniac, screaming at him, when it was actually the other way around. All right, now, I did raise my voice to him after he went through his little tantrum to shut him up a little bit. So that was one. The other day, I was at another fire. It was a dead-end street. I don't know if I told you this or not. Now, the street is probably, if I say 20 feet wide, that's wide. And it's probably, I don't know, 1/8 of a mile. And it's a dead end. So when you come down, you got houses off it here. You got one here, you got one here. The road goes to a dead end area right there, which is asphalt, but it goes into marshland. And then this driveway comes up, and there's a house up here. And this house has a big brush fire going off next to it. Well, the fire hydrant's up here on the main. The department didn't think that it was bad enough to drop a few thousand yards of hose so to get to the hydrant. So they had two pumps. They had three actually. They had two 500s and one 750. So what they were doing was, they would come. We had the 750 up here, and he was keeping things under control and gradually working the fire down. So it was working. So they took the other two, and when they would come up here, fill, drive down, pull here, drop line. Now we got this line going up, and they use it. This one fills. He comes down. This one pulls out. He comes in, hooks up to the line. This one fills. So they're shuttling back and forth. Now there's just enough room for the two trucks to work. So what happens? A woman comes driving down in her SUV, probably late 40s, early 50s. She says, what's going on? I know those people. He said, well, I'm sorry, I can't help you. There's a brush fire up there. You're going to have to continue to move down to the dead end here. Go down there, turn around, and if I have an opening, I'll let you out. Well, what's going on? I says, listen to me. Fire trucks are back and forth here right now. You're right in the way. You are stopping them from doing their job. You're going to have to move. And I said it kind of like that. She says, don't you talk to me like that. I says, you have to move. Do you not see these fire trucks trying to put out your friend's house? All right? I said, move. She starts, I said, move it now. She goes, don't yell at me. I don't believe these people. All right? So she's reluctantly moving forward to the dead end. I kept her there. I wouldn't let her out. I kept her there until the fire was out and the trucks left. Then I got in my vehicle and I left. So I don't know how long she stayed there after that, but she stayed there. Screw her. But anyway, the reason for the camera is there was a captain, actually, was telling somebody, you got to keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. And one of the cars decided that he's going to, I'm not going to listen to him, you know, what's going on, blah, 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 blah. I have to get through, you know, and all this kind of crap. And he says, you got to move. Keep it going. Move, move, move. All right. Well, the guy moves ahead. Come to find out, he was the fire commissioner. Now, he wasn't in any marked cars or anything. But however, he should still know not to be stopping like that. You follow me? I mean, but anyway, he reports the captain for yelling at him, for being rude. All right. So again, for me to spend $100, I think it was $119. I got my ass covered. I don't have to worry about it. Plus, I had somebody try to run me over at one of these fires. Luckily, the captain seen it, and when the guy parked his car and started running into the condominiums, that wasn't his on fire to start with, nor was it anywhere near his. The captain ran up to him and stopped him. Stop. Don't you ever put one of my men in jeopardy like that again, or your ass is going to jail. I'll see to it. You know, so you have to pay attention. This is basically to protect my ass. That's what it is. Now, they have two of them. Actually, there's three of them. There's the Drive Pro Body 10, which has a lot of good reviews, and it's actually a little bit more money. And I couldn't understand, nor do I still really understand why. Because this one, apparently, seems to be a better camera, and it's less money. Now, when I was talking with B&H out of New York, B&H Photo or B&H whatever, good company. I was talking to the guy there in the surveillance department, and I said to him, what's the difference between your 10, your 20, and your 52? He goes, the 10 will take a 32-bit card. He says the 20 has a card, the memory built in, 32, and Wi-Fi. He says the 52 is the same as the 20, but it has a remote camera. So in other words, this part would go into a belt case, like a holster, and then the wire would come up through your shirt, and you'd have a little camera hanging off your shirt or wherever you're hanging it from. So the camera is kind of like remote. It's not wireless, but it is remote. So, you know, that's that one. But again, it was supposed to be the same as this one as far as 32 built in. Now, this doesn't take a card. This has 32 built in. However, the one that does take the card, which is the 10, that costs more money, will only take a card up to 32. So after I think about this for a minute, I said, well, first of all, I don't care about the remote camera. But why would I want the other one when this one has built-in memory and Wi-Fi, where the more expensive one, it's only like $30, $20 more. You need to put, it comes with the card, but it'll only take up to 32. You need the card to make it work. You know, and there's no Wi-Fi. Well, the guy on the phone said, well, you're making sense. He says, I couldn't tell you why. He says, but it's not us running a sale. It's just the way that it is. All right. So I said, well, you know what? He goes, by the way, he says, you can return it, you know, so don't even worry about it if you don't like it. I says, well, if it takes Wi-Fi live stream, all right, it's got 32 internal storage. It's got a 160 view. It's got a snapshot, so you can take a picture. It's got everything the other one has in it, where the other one you have to put the card in it, and it won't take any more than 32, so it's not like you're gaining anything. And it hasn't got Wi-Fi. It's got the same lensing, the same everything, HD, 1080p. What? You know? So anyway, I bought this one, and they're the same size, so it's not like, you know, it's a big deal here. I said, so you know what? I'm going to get the cheaper one. So that's what I did. So now that I just wasted a lot of your time as to why I'm doing this and what I got and whatever, let me fight to get in the box. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been having problems getting boxes lately. After I swear at them a few times, they seem to work fine, but you know. I'll tell you what, the weather's been lousy the last couple of days. I'm telling you, like well, what's today? Wednesday. Saturday wasn't too bad, but it was still dismal, drizzly, lousy. Sunday, it actually turned out to be a pretty good day because I was at they had this big campaign going on at the fire stations, 80 fire departments, looking for help, hiring, letting people get on. The kids get little fire hats, and they let them run around on the trucks and stuff like that. We had to be there naturally. So I stayed there for 3 hours. I got there at 9:45, and I left at 1 o'clock. And then, you know what? About 10:30, it got really nice out. I actually got a sunburn on my face because I didn't have my cap on. I got home at 1 o'clock, had something to eat, decided I was just going to rest for a few minutes. The next thing you know, it's raining. And since then, we've been having this lousy weather. So anyway, here we are with this. So, this is the size of it. It's a cute little piece. It's got a 360-degree swivel. It's got a tight, not only tight swivel, but a tight clamp. And it's got naturally tons of sharp teeth in there to hold it on. Snapshot or record. It's got microphone and everything built in. Now it does come out of this thing. There we go. Let's break things. All right. So it's really not all that, compared to what the police wear, this is about the same size. Police is a little thicker, a little shorter, but other than that, not that much more. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is put this on a little charge. Now, with anything that you're charging, it's always a good idea to plug it into the unit first. This goes in, the charger goes into power last. Like for instance, I'm going to plug this in now, so as soon as I find a plug, I got them all over the place, but I just need one that's nearby. So you know what? I'll use the one that's right here underneath me. That would be probably the best one to use. There. Now, like I say, it's plugged in right now, so it would be a bad idea for me to unplug this and plug it in, leaving that plugged in all the time. Especially on this particular type, because it's like a phono plug. Like a cell phone plug, it's a little different because your pins are staggered. On this one, your tip, ring, and ring, so it's a possibility that it can short out as it's coming out or going back in. But whichever way it goes, even with your cell phone, it's really not a good idea. You plug it into the phone first, then you plug it into your power source. When you disconnect it, you unplug it from your power source first, then you disconnect it. You do the opposite. You do it in reverse. Then you disconnect it from your phone. This way, there's never any power on the plug that you're putting in and out. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Because you don't want to blow things up. Because there's a negative and a positive on all your connections. So if it can't happen, it will happen. So, all right, now, let that charge for a minute. Does it give me any indication? Yes, it does. We have a little red light up here. So it's telling me that it's charging. So while that's charging, I hooked up the ring. I like it. Well, hold on. I'll take you out there.